I'd like to use a personal example from my own life to demonstrate how these cycles work and how we can calculate those repeat cycles. So I'm going to begin with an early time in my life. My father left our family when I was 11 years old, but it wasn't until 30 years after that event that I fully understood the impact that losing my father had on my life. Because while I still knew in my mind that I had a family, I had a mom and my younger brother, I felt in my heart something very different. My heart and my emotions said that I had lost my family, that I had been betrayed by what happened in my father leaving the family. Well, that feeling of loss and betrayal planted the seed for a pattern. It was a pattern of sabotage for the relationships that I loved and held most dear in my life, and it happened for decades. It was this seed of loss and betrayal that would continue throughout much of my adult life, that is, until I recognized that pattern and had the wisdom to change it. Well, using the principles of fractal time from the last episode, we can build a time code calculator to find out exactly when we can expect the conditions of a deep emotional experience, like loss and betrayal, or even positive experiences, to repeat in our lives again. So what I'd like to do in this episode is I'd like to walk you through the actual calculations step by step so that you can do these for yourself, so you can calculate these cycles in your own life, or if you prefer, you can use the handy time code calculator that I have created. It's available on my website for absolutely no charge. You don't have to sign up. There are no strings attached. I just wanted to make it very easy to use this algorithm. So if you go to the website, www.greggbraden.com, that's Greg with 2 G's, and you use mode number 3 as it's described on the website, you can plug in the dates that we're about to describe and have automated for you the longer system that we're about to do right now, step by step. So I'm going to invite you to begin this process by identifying an age in your life for a seed event that is emotionally significant in your life. Now, it can be a positive event, it can be a frightening event, it can be a sad event of loss or betrayal, and I'm going to use my father leaving my family, as I said, for the example, just to demonstrate what's happening here. So, on a piece of paper in your mind's eye, the first variable that we're going to create is a variable called the seed event age, or SEA, and then a little 1 just to the right and below, sub 1. So C sub 1. So in my example, age 11 is the seed age that we're going to begin with. Step number 2, we're using the mathematics of nature that we talked about in the previous episode. In this case, I'm going to use the phi ratio of your age. Now, in other programs, we've talked about the phi ratio. It's a mystical, magical number. It's the number that governs the proportions of our body, the ratio of our shoulders to our elbow and our elbow to our wrist, the ratio of the tip of one finger to the first joint, and then the ratio of that distance to the next joint and to the next joint, the ratio of where our eyes are located on our face and the distance between our nose and our lip in proportion to the rest of our head. We see this unfolding beautifully as the spirals that we see in the nautilus shells, for example, are a classic example. So this mystical phi ratio applies to so much of the natural world. I'm not surprised that it would apply also to cycles of time. So in the last episode, we used this to help us calculate in an algorithm that you did not see the cycles from one world event to a next within the overall cycle of time, 5,125 years. In this algorithm, we don't need that big cycle. We're talking about what has happened in your life from one point to the next to the next. So in this example, that number is 0.618. This is the phi ratio, mathematic representation of the phi ratio. And you would multiply that times your seed event age. My seed event age was 11 years of age. So when we multiply 0.618 times 11, we get the number 6.798. So my variable of the interval, I sub phi, as you're seeing on the screen, is 6.798. Third step, very simple. we add this phi ratio interval, 6.798, to the seed event age at the time of the emotional event to determine when you can expect the conditions for that seed event to repeat again in your life. And once again, it doesn't mean the event will occur. It means that when we can reasonably expect the conditions that precipitate the event to occur. And when you do this, you will get an age. Now, if that age is not your current age, that age will be an age in your past, and then you can look at the events of your life during the time that you were that age, and you can see how those events apply to the age. If you want to bring this cycle current, the age that you have just calculated now becomes the new input. It becomes the new seed for the calculation. And we'll do this together. I'm just walking you through where this is going. It will become the new seed, and we'll go through the calculation again. So, in my example, the first calculation results in an age of 6.798 plus the age of 11, and that gives me the age of 17.798. Now, interestingly, this is precisely the age when I lost two very powerfully significant relationships in my life. One was the very first romance that I ever had, and you know, when you're young, those romances are important. I embarked upon a path when I lost my family. I tried as a child to recreate family on my own without having the greater family of my parents. So I began creating romantic relationships. I began creating family of my own at the age of 11. And my relationships were typically long-lasting. So the first romance I had at 11, I lost at the age of 17. And for me at that time, that was a long period of time. That was very difficult. And I also lost a dear friend at the same time. I didn't lose him in life. I lost him as a friend. As different as these relationships were from one another, a friendship and a romance, the common denominator to both that I was able to later recognize, that in both instances, it was loss because I lost them both, but I lost them both to betrayal. Both of them betrayed my trust. Both of them betrayed my confidence. And it was the betrayal that was planted as the seed that I felt when my father left. That sense of loss and betrayal. And I'm giving you this as an example of how it played out in my life.